Hi, thanks for joining Your Body Advocate podcast. I'm Ruth Cummings, your host, and today is part 2 of a really fun interview with Stephanie Zhong. She is my friend and a brand and storytelling coach and a human design expert. This is part 2. Please enjoy this really fun interview. Let's take a deep breath to relax. Ready? All right, here we go.
You're listening to Your Body Advocate, telling your body's side of the story. The podcast dedicated to supporting and improving your body-mind connection so you can live a pain-free, passion-filled life, dissolving one body tension at a time. Discover the healing properties of your own body language, and together let's explore ways to support and improve essential self-talk. Now, here's your host, Master of Encouragement and Body-Mind Life Coach, Ruth Cummings.
Well, hello, Stephanie, for podcast number 2. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited you're here, and I could talk to you all day long, and we've been talking behind the scenes here, and it's just so exciting. Today, I really want to just bring up, there's so many things. If you could talk to us about human design and what that is, that's one. How you think Google should be our brain instead of brain, and brain should be Google instead of the CEO. And then some questions after that, like we were talking about our first podcast of if you could describe what a happy family is to you. But let's start with human design. Jump in there, sister.
Ooh, all right. So, hey, everybody. It's so good to be back. Yes. Always electric to talk to Ruth and for us to deep dive into the crazy wisdom we have in our body and the power. I think the last time we spoke, we talked about all this untapped power that lives within our bodies, and then the untapped power of our stories, and that how we can have, when we can articulate and be consciously expressive about what our body is trying to tell us and then put it into words, we can be freaking unstoppable. So getting back into the body piece, human design is something that I discovered 18 months ago. Well, I didn't discover it, but it is a system of understanding how energy works within our body, and it has connections to a lot of the ancient wisdom, things like astrology, the chakra system, and also quantum physics. Because as energetic beings, whenever one human being is interacting with another, we are giving and exchanging energy, and our bodies are receiving it and feeling things and thinking things as a result of that. And one of the things that I love about human design when it comes to understanding who we are, what our purpose is, what our gifts are, and how do we give generously those gifts in a way that doesn't burn us out, that doesn't leave us feeling depleted or distracted, has become this amazing tool belt for my business and for my relationships and for my life.
Oh, I love all 3 of those. And I want to mention something that you and I had talked about in the break here. This is a quote from you. We need the words to crystallize what our body already knows. Sister, love that.
Yes. Absolutely. Yes. And so this is the thing, right? Like those of us who are listening and a part of Ruth's tribe, we know the body is a treasure chest of wisdom and knowledge and power. And the challenge is making that conscious for ourselves, right? And the only way we can make things conscious in a way where it serves us on a consistent basis is if we have language and words for it. So one of the things I was sharing with Ruth about human design is that every single person is born into the world with a unique design. So if you listened to the last episode when we were talking about how our personal brands are this unique combination of our natural born gifts and our culture add, our life experience, and our professional experience, human design takes us right into seeing the kaleidoscopic richness of the natural gifts and the things that you were born into, and how to illuminate that so that when we think about by nature what you were given, how do we bring that to light? How do we give ourselves even more permission to step into some of these talents and things maybe we knew when we were 5 years old, but we were not encouraged to develop. But when you see it in your chart, it gives you this ability to say, how about if I brought that gift into the work I do? How might that make my brand really unique and powerful? And so I like to use these two tools together, because when our bodies are showing us all this intelligence and we have the words to describe it to anyone, then no matter who you're talking to or what situation you're in, if you used to feel a deer in headlights before, you're going to have this like concrete bedrock place to stand on, no matter who you're talking to, and be able to shine unapologetically from that place.
I just love all that. Yes. So, bringing the unconscious and the conscious superpowers together, that is such a powerful statement where, we all know, if you're listening to this and you're like, I want to start something, it's building inside you. You can feel it like boiling, and it gives you this idea. And this work brings that together. And we were talking about, building in some reward for asking people around us. Can you tell us more about what that means?
Yes. And so Ruth had asked me in a prior episode about what would be a simple way to get started to tap into what your superpowers are if you've been asking yourself, do I have superpowers? And so the suggestion that I give to folks is that you make a list. You make a list of the things that come easy to you, that feel like, no effort involved, but you can just do them. And don't judge them, just write them down. And then we talked about making that list and then asking some friends, colleagues, clients about these things and finding out from them whether or not this is actually something that's easy to you that's actually hard for them. And that's the thing. Everyone is always so surprised. They think if it's so easy, everybody must be able to do it. If it's so easy, I can't charge money for this because
it's so easy.
It's so easy and anybody can do it. And then you discover it turns out, is this easy for my client? No, it's not. Is this easy for my friend? No, it's not. Is this easy for my colleague? No, it's not. And Ruth had mentioned that it's like a simple exercise, but it's so hard. It can be so hard to do. It was hard for me. If you identify as someone who isn't a showman, isn't interested in being in the spotlight, a lot of resistance can come up when we're trying to uncover our power. And so one of the things that I do with things that are hard but important, things that are simple but hard, let's just put it that way, right, is if I'm going to send out an email to 10 friends and ask them what my superpower is, or, what do you think I'm good at? And it's terrifying to me.
Right.
I put a reward in place for just taking the action. Because I'm not responsible for the results. I'm not responsible for if 8 out of 10 people or nobody writes back, or my fear says that no one's going to be interested in giving me feedback. My fear says they're going to be like, you're bothering me, Right. But when I did that exercise, I said, you know what? When I send the 10 out, I treated myself, my reward was, I'm going to buy these bath bombs from this fancy place.
Love that.
Okay. That also, it was like a social impact company I loved. And so the minute I sent those 10 emails out, all I was thinking about was those bath bombs. I ordered the bath bombs. And then even the bigger gift, which comes back, was all of the mirroring, reflecting back, and how happy all 10 people were to giving me feedback about what they see in me. And that
Yes.
happens for all of my, in my group cohort programs, everyone's always afraid. But guess what? It's the most validating, powerful thing to have people come back to you and say, this is something really special I appreciate about you.
It is so, it is terrifying.
Yes.
If you put yourself like in kindergarten, and you have to step in front of the whole class and say, okay, what do you like about me? I mean, that's like something that is not going to happen. And because it's so terrifying, but I think that people love each other in the real world. Like if we're honest with it, so many people have such love for each other and they want to be kind and loving, not only because they want that back, but because they do want to be giving and they are that at their core. And that's who I talk to people as. Like I talk to you as you are love and you are amazing. And that's how I want the world to see each other. And when we don't do that, then I want to tap into what's up with their body to stop that. Where were they hurt in their life? In their body. So not only, not physically, possibly, but when a bully or somebody mean says something, where did their body shut down? And then they bring that into their future self. And I think it's just so fascinating how it all goes together. So we were also talking about, where our brain sits in this, because
yes,
we shouldn't allow, or we do, but we should is a terrible word, right? But we're
conditioned.
Yes, thank you. Conditioned about what role our brain plays and what role it wants to and what role it should. Talk about that. I love your how you talk about this in Google and CEO and who makes decisions.
Yes. So for those of you who are following human design, so one of the things about human design that has been game changing for me is understanding that in each person's unique design, there is a part of the body that was meant to be the captain of the team, the one that calls all the shots and knows what the aligned decisions are to make for your unique life. As human beings growing up in the society we live in, and especially Western society, we are socially conditioned to believe that the brain is the end-all, be-all authority of everything. But actually, in human design terms, the brain was meant to be this central processing unit. It's meant to be like a computer, or it's meant to be like Google. It is excellent at gathering information and pulling knowledge together and organizing things and maybe analyzing things for you. But it's not actually the place in our bodies that's designed to make decisions. But we've been trained through schooling, through culture, that it does all of it. And for some, I will say for decades of my life, until I had body pain, I had severed that relationship between my mind and my brain and my body. So my body was never part of the equation until the body started being in so much pain. It would say to me, are you ready to listen to me now?
Right.
So human design is a part of that reintegration. It is just, again, a language and a system for understanding what our body already has inside of it. And when you know what part of the body in you is meant to be the captain of the team, for me, it's, for me, my captain of the team is my heart. And so now it's about you would never let a real computer, your laptop, or Google make your life decisions, right?
Right.
So it's time to say, brain, thank you so much for all of the googly information that you provide for me on a daily basis. And I'm going to now give the CEO authority of my life. The CEO now will not be you. You will be the vice president or the chief of staff. And now in my case, my human design says my heart is the one that is the CEO of my life. And ever since I have flipped those roles and right size those roles, the decisions I make in my relationships, my parenting, and my business, it's all starting to align and manifest in a much easier, lighter way. And I have more energy.
Yeah, that's so great. I like how you mentioned how your body, we forget about it, and you were kind of not involving it in the decision-making process. And that is such a common theme for most people. When I see people in my office for the first time, oftentimes they tell me I can use as much pressure as possible, or some different words that totally ignore what their body needs. And they have these blinders on where they don't really even know that they don't know. And that's something I really want to help open up, is like, let's open what your body's trying to tell you. That's one of my taglines is, what's your body's side of the story? Let's listen to the body's side of the story, because it's often forgotten about. And it's so important, not only in human design, but in branding. Yes. Why does branding, the word, bore you?
Yes, it bores me because we have traditionally looked at branding as this external facing thing. How am I going to be perceived by my audience?
Yes.
What do they want?
And people.
And in life and in people. And what do they want? And then we turn the entire focus out towards that, right? And so getting back to this idea of this disassociation piece, we were just talking about how our minds and our bodies had been disassociated. And so really with brand for me, when I began doing branding work years ago, what I was really passionate about is helping people to reclaim who they are and express the fullness and authenticity and passion of what they want to do. And then that creates the alignment to who's supposed to be in your orbit and working with you, right? Because we're not necessarily meant to be everything to everybody, but we have something really special that has extra alignment for certain kinds of people, and they're the ones that need to know about us. Right. And so the brand actually is this shared experience. It's both to me, when I look at brand, I'm looking at alignment. It's like fundamentally this alignment of, well, what does my soul and my gifts and my mission want me to do in this world with other people? And who are the people out in the world who want this experience, want this type of change, right? And that's the magic, is if we actually fully, authentically express that, we will naturally attract the people who most see and recognize our gifts and most want to work with you over somebody else. And there's no competition there. It's just about alignment.
Right. That's well said. The alignment, because there's so many people in the world, and there's very specific people that want to work with each individual, and that your superpowers can really match up to theirs, and magic can really happen. And that's it's hard. It is hard. I think I've been working on it for at least a year, is that's true. Like, to believe that that's true, right? Everything's screaming, no, but my body's going, yes, come on, and let's do this. And my mind's going, no, we're not going to do this. It's like a little kid, and it's winning not only like this argument, it wins. And I just crack myself up at my own argument. All of us have this little argument. And I love the angel and the devil, on certain cartoons and stuff, but it's so true. Like, one's talking to the other, and I feel like I'm spinning my head going between one to the other, like, wait, stop. I'm excited because I can feel that power coming within my life, and I can see it in my clients, and I see it in my friends. And it's really exciting when you can see it show up.
It is. And so getting back to the resistance piece is huge, because we are inundated. All of us are just inundated with so many messages in our inboxes, in our news feeds, text notifications about you should be doing this or that, or here's an easy way to do that. And it's all outside of us. And so no wonder it is so difficult for us to stay really grounded in what is our truth. Like, what is your truth and what is your way to really make change and grow? And I'm sure, like, when one of the things about human design for me that was really interesting was after I discovered and got a reading for myself around what my human design looks like, and the best way, the most effortless way for me to manifest like change and growth. I was able to then look back on my career and see where I had knowingly used my strategy and authority. We have a phrase, strategy is everyone in human design has a unique way of manifesting opportunities. And authority is who's the captain in charge who gets to make the real big decisions. So those of us, when you think about back in your life, when you say, I just knew and everybody knew I was crazy, most likely it was a perfect example of you being in total alignment, following your strategy and authority, whether you knew you were doing it or not. I looked back and I realized that the most effortless success, where opportunities that I wanted were coming my way, I was aligned to this approach. And when I wasn't doing that and I was trying to follow this best practice or this, well-known coach who says, do it this way. And it was difficult and it was a struggle and it felt like a slog and it did, and I was drained doing it, right? Like, this is the stark difference. And so my body has shown me, like, our bodies will show us if we're living by our design, we are going to have more energy and we will have more flow and less physical resistance in our lives. But the mental resistance, it's just coming from our social conditioning that's telling us we're not doing it right. We should do it this way or that way, and there's strategies within human design to help move past the resistance. And I mean, I'm somebody who let resistance control my life so much, most of my life until the last 5 years or so. And there's a quote by Steven Pressfield I love so much, where he says, what you resist is the thing that matters the most to you.
Wow. Nice. Yes. I can also tell you, so wait, what was Steven's last name?
Pressfield. And I'm paraphrasing. He has a whole book called Turning Pro, which is all teeny tiny little chapters, short chapters about how to tackle through resistance and recognizing that if I'm feeling inner resistance, something about me is not living. It's probably something I care deeply about, getting back to claiming our power again, or what we really want.
Right.
And something I probably need to lean into. Right.
Wow. So we resist it.
Right. Instead of because resistance of something that is actually important to me, you have one of two choices. You can either listen to it and back off and go get distracted and chase some sparkly object. That's easier. Or you can say, oh, this resistance is it telling me this is important to me? And if the answer is yes, then the question is, what do I do, or how can I jump over this resistance so that I can take a step forward towards what I really want? And that is why human design for me is so key, because it offers some practical tools for seeing where the resistance is and what gifts you have and how to move past that. And then also, when you have your brand story, which we talked about in the first episode, you've got language to counter the loud, resistant voice that is saying something to you and is lying to you.
Oh, and is lying to you. Yes. So, resistance. is something that can be felt in the body. When you resist too much, right, it creates pain. And that's when, like, when someone comes in and they don't know why they're seeing me, or they don't know why they're seeing a therapist or a certain person in their life, but they know something's upset in their body, in their makeup, in their world. And they go to the doctor, they go to Western medicine, and they've had an MRI, they've had a X-ray, they've had cortisone shots, they've had whatever they've had. And then the answer is, oh, sorry, nothing's wrong with you. That's a huge flag for me and for you to say, hey, look at, you have been resisting your real true power for so long that it's causing this pain in your body. And when that type of person is able to trust me just for a moment during a session, that can all come out. And it's really, really powerful for them. And so it's so magical for them to see. They just have that aha moment of in that what we know, what we know, we don't know, what we know, the third quadrant, but what we don't know, we don't know. And that shows up and in their body, and they say, oh my gosh, I've been resisting this and I'm feeling it wherever they're feeling it, and it relaxes. Then it's really scary because it's you're ready for the next step. And so there's this like excitement and happiness, and then like, whoa, I'm not sure I would wait. And so then
now what?
Right. Now then you really feel vulnerable, but it's like, it's all aligned for you. You won't find someone like me or another treatment type of person who can walk you through that unless you're ready. I've learned that they have the systems behind them all set up. So finally in their life, usually they have the support structure, like they have the home life that they need. They have a lot of things aligned, like you said. When it's aligned, then these things just start to naturally, they start to unpeel, and the real power starts to just push itself out, and it can be gentle and it can sometimes not be gentle. You could get sick, you could get a fever, you could make yourself sick, but it's not long. It's a quick, sometimes I've seen a flu show up in people and it's done within 2 or 3 hours. And they're like, well, I don't understand. And then all of a sudden it's like that's peeled off, and they're able to look at those words that you've created, or look at the next step and say, wow, I'm ready. And that is so exciting. And that's what I see in your work. It's just like the human design, the branding elements, and just it all comes together. And I'm just really excited for people who work with you.
And I get excited for others too, because absolutely, like really underneath all of that, the through line is alignment and then integration.
Yes, good word.
Of our whole self.
Yes.
We're not hiding any part from ourselves. We're able to bring every part along into the story of who we are. We're bringing back parts of the body in the human design context that says, hey, you guys are wise. Like, I want to tap in with you, right? To do easier work and more powerful work, and then to have words that can count, that are so aligned, attuned, and help us bring the cohesive sense of who we are together, so that when we are out in the world and there are 40,000 different distracting messages trying to inscribe their meaning of us onto us, we're like, we're good. We've got it. Right.
I love your word from our last podcast, the cocoon, creating the cocoon of time for yourself to think about these things, because it does take time to be by yourself and to integrate that into your entire being. And what's interesting, I think, with maturity and wisdom, as we grow older and we get past these little arguments that I think like in your 20s and possibly in your 30s, where it's the mind is continuously winning, where we go to this next part where forgiveness shows up, where forgiveness of all those parts that aren't working together or that we were ignoring because we thought it was not going to create success in our life. And, so many of us chasing without paying attention. And then we just ignore it. I ignore it still. And then go, oh, wait. And when you bring that element back in, that the part of your body back in, it's amazing how much faster you can go and how much more work you can do in the world when we're just aligned. Alignment's a great word for our podcast today, because I think it's huge. It's so important.
Yeah. And I'm just going to put an aside. If I want to maybe run a story by you, Ruth.
Yes.
To see if you want to put it in the podcast. Okay. So talking about alignment and how we've been talking a lot about how much we want it and how hard it is to do in the world, right? How scary it is to do in the world. And so I just want to share a story that was a really big turning point in me around the power of alignment that ties into health and into my brand.
Love it.
Okay. So 5 years ago, I had a brand storytelling agency, and that was where I was creating brand narratives and story-based content for different clients. And I had this retainer client, and this retainer client paid me super well. There were great people on this team. I loved the people on the team. And then a change happened where they had a new leader. They changed the vision of the company. And there was a moment when they said to me that they wanted to move in a different direction, that I could almost feel a deflation in my body, like a sinking feeling. But I decided to stick it out. Fast forward to 3 months later, right. I wake up one morning and my back is out. And I'm in so much pain, and I can't drive. I can't sleep. The only thing I can do is stand without pain. It was the only thing I could do. And I tried everything. So I went to all the Western doctors, Ruth, as you were saying. Then, despite my fear of needles, I went to acupuncture for the very first time. And the Chinese herbal medicines, I'm Chinese American, and none of it worked. None of it. I was so discouraged.
I'm so sorry.
Yes. Until my therapist said to me, Stephanie, why don't you take sort of cocoon time? She didn't say cocoon. She said, take some time with just you and ask your pain, what are you trying to tell me?
Yes. I love your therapist.
Amazing. The pain whispered to me. It took a couple of days. Said, you don't want to work with this retainer client anymore. It is out of alignment with your mission and your values. And 80% of the pain went away like that. 2 weeks later, when I set up the call, and it was hard for me because I loved this team so much. And, I spoke that truth out to say, my business is taking a new direction. So we're not going to work together anymore. And all the pain went away. All the pain went away. And Ruth, talking about that raw, vulnerable place.
Yes.
Because the pain said, you don't want to work with companies anymore, Stephanie. You want to empower women and people of color who are founders and coaches and individual change makers who can't afford a fancy budget. That's who you want to work with. But I didn't have that network. And that client in particular was the one that was underwriting everything else in my business. So the pain went away. And at the same time, I'm opening this door saying, how am I going to make money? How am I going to start pivot this business? Right?
Right. The fear.
But the body knew. The fear. Exactly.
But your body knew. I remember.
But my body knew and refused to let me work another day out of integrity or out of alignment with myself. And my body now, I don't have that kind of debilitating pain because alignment is such a core value for me. However, I'm grateful that my body will give me these twinges of pain at times when I come up against something I resist, that is something that is in my truth, that is something that's aligned to where I'm really wanting to go, but I'm scared about the limited resources or the this or that. And the pain will go, remember, we can do this. Instead of resisting me, work with me.
I love this. Yes. It gives us hints, doesn't it? I mean, and we don't listen until we have to, until we're in bed. I'm right there. I remember this conversation when it was happening in your life. And what's interesting, I'm going to share this. My husband is going through a back pain. We've been to the orthopedic surgeon, chiropractor, to the acupuncturist, homeopath. We've been to 5. So I'm missing one. Probably a counselor. I can't remember the 5th, and nothing. He's still in pain. And I know, but it's up to him. Like, I can help him, but it is a question that he has to answer for himself. And as his wife, it's really hard because I can't really support it like I could support somebody else. And I love your story, Stephanie, because people listening, please, if you go through this type of pain, I just want to inspire you and to give you the courage to listen. Let your body tell you the story. Let your body have a voice, because I've seen it tens of thousands of times, tens of thousands. And it's just amazing if you let it have power and you let it talk to you. Sometimes you feel crazy because your body actually kind of will say something. You're like, and it's in your mind. That's the thing. It's just saying something in your mind. So it's not coming from without you. It's,
yes. It's like Google talking to you, or Alexa is just blurting something out in the middle of the room, and you decided to listen to Alexa instead of yourself. But the truth is, right. And that's why I love that the body wants to say something. We have to you just said it, make space so that the body can tell you what it wants to tell you. And then the second part of that, in terms of how it relates to brand or storytelling communication, is now we've got to align our words and what we're saying to what the body is wanting to, like, your voice needs to voice what your body is saying to you. Because if you start to pitch something different that you think people want to hear,
you're right back where you started.
You're right back where you started again.
Wow. I mean, I haven't said that out loud, Stephanie, but that is like where I am right now too, because I'm working on my body piece, but I'm not allowing the next part of, okay, now the voice, you have to actually allow your body again now to say, your mind gets to play again too and say, okay, let's get aligned and all be on the same page. It is scary, the amount of responsibility that power takes. And so it's hard to look at, like, okay, if I really allow myself to be the person that God wants me to be.
There you go.
And, you just, getting out of my own way, right?
Right. I know. And this is why I'm bringing in now this human design component into the Own Your Message program, because one of the things I realized was, so many people would have that transformational moment of having the moment when the language is there that's bringing to life what your body in that zone of genius was feeling, and how amazing that feels, but then how scary it is. So you have it for yourself and you can delight in it in yourself and this small group, but now it's like, do I share this thing that feels so in my bones to everybody else? And then that's a whole next level of alignment. So one of the things I realize is, it's coming back to this question I think we've been circling around, which is, how do you find the courage to do the things so you can, like, to live out your power?
Right. How do you find the courage? I'm writing this down.
How do you find the courage? How do you find the courage to voice that thing that you were meant to do? in a powerful way. And so the two things that I've realized over time as I've been running these cohorts and seeing who is really stepping out and it's like manifesting all over the place, who's manifesting incrementally, and the difference is around how much you're willing to share and be vulnerageous. That's my new word, to be vulnerageous out there with your brand story. Two things help with courage. So the first one is clarity. Clarity gives you courage when you can actually take that power and put it into words that light you up, right? So that's step one. Step two is then community gives you courage. So now you have the clarity, you need a community. So you're not doing it alone, because the gifts you were given, remember, if we're saying you're a 4,000,001 miracle and you were meant to do things a certain way, and society has 40,000 messages coming at you saying, do it this way, no wonder it's so hard, because being a lone read is hard. So that's why it's so important to build a community as when you have that clarity and you're like, yes, this is the message. This is what I'm about. This is the kind of work I'm meant to do. This is what my brand stands for. This is the emotional experience my brand gives you. And when I work with people, then we need to have that village, and it can be different for anybody. But it's so important to have people around you who see and recognize that fullness of your brand story, to give you the encouragement to go out there and find your aligned people, because not everybody is going to align to you. And that's success. If you are experiencing rejection, you are actually expressing clarity and specific purpose, and you're only supposed to be there for your aligned people, the people who are get it and the people who are ready.
Right. They don't need to be told, wait, you don't have to make them think that. What am I trying to say? You don't have to convince them. You don't have to
convince them. All you have to do is share.
Right.
And so if we're sharing in a way that is joyful, of service, and is clear, it's important that it's clear, and it has to be clear to us first, and we have to be excited about it. So if we're not excited about the message, no wonder until you're clear and excited about your own brand message, nobody else is going to be excited about your message. So you have to be the first customer that's like, I'm so freaking excited about this. And then build a community around you that's like, yes, and people need you. And there is no such thing as rejection. There's only alignment. So if you have people who are saying, no, you're doing it right.
Right. You know, I wanted to share that while we were having this conversation, and when I started talking about being responsible for my power, my tongue on my right side started hurting.
Wow.
And so I know I have some work to do, but I just wanted to mention to people, when stuff comes up, it's in the weirdest places. It's not going to be where you're like, it's not really clear.
Yes.
Sometimes your eye will start twitching. Sometimes your finger hurts. So, but my inside,
wow.
My tongue is going like that. It's hurting at an 8 out of 10. And I can feel it go inside right here. So that just showed up. That's the kind of thing, like, if you can notice that happening in your body, like there's something out of alignment and your body's ready. And I was holding my tongue down. Isn't that interesting?
So interesting.
So
because your body knows there's a truth.
Yes.
And a narrative that's meant to come out of you. Yes.
Like dragon breath that I'm not doing.
Right. Exactly. The dragon that's meant to come out of you, actually, right?
Oh,
yeah.
Yes, I'm ready.
And it's just, but I relate to that so much. And you said the eye twitching. I have had that's where it now appears as a random eye twitch and a random right shoulder blade twitch are the signals to me that I am out of alignment somewhere.
Can I talk to you about that?
In my words, in my business.
Yeah.
Yes.
since I have your permission. So the eyes, they can show you what you really need to see, and they can show you what you have had rose-colored glasses about.
Wow.
Like whatever we don't want to look at, and we deflect. We go like this.
Yes.
We squint. We look up or down. Kind of. We deflect. That type of area, it's like goes around like this. It's like like having a headband on, but it's around your eyes. It'll be painful all the way around here. And if it's painful by the occiput, by where the skull is, then you can follow it to other things. For example, being dehydrated, but mainly it's about eyesight. Your how you see the world and how you're allowing the world to see you. When that goes to your right shoulder blade, the shoulder blade can be resistance to change, and then power. And at the top of the shoulder blade can be either not feeling appreciated, and closer to the spine can feel resentment. And you can relax that by pulling that shoulder blade down, really stretching it. But I would say gentleness. Some heat, some gentleness, see how that's working with your eyesight, and notice those two together. So that's what I see.
That's so powerful, I have to say, because I had the eye twitch for 6 months at my last job back in 2014. And it was a job that there's a line in Devil Wears Prada that says 1 million girls will kill for this job. And it was one of those fancy jobs. And my eye was twitching every day. But I was still trying to believe in my rose-colored glasses that I was supposed to be there, that I'm doing, good work, and, I love the people I work with, and trying to make it the job I wanted. But the truth was, it doesn't matter what it looks like on paper. I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to be there. And it went away after I put in.
Wow.
Well, not right away after I put in my notice. It went away probably, I think, a month after. It went completely away. Right. But I so appreciate what you're saying, because I was really trying to force myself to think that it was a great opportunity. It's like, if it's a great opportunity on paper, why am I?
Right. Everybody's telling you how great it is. You look so gorgeous.
It looks good. Yeah.
You're with a lot of, look at all the nice, expensive shoes that are all around you, and bags and stuff like that. Yeah. It looks good on paper. It is interesting to follow our heart and our alignment is not easy. It is not popular. And
not popular. Yes.
It is not popular. And I tell my kids all the time, and it's at the end of my podcast, to include the unincluded. And that is not popular. And if you feel like you are good to people, but you feel yourself getting tight in certain areas when you're around somebody that you weren't kind to, that's your body going, hey, I wanted to be nice, and I wanted to smile or give, or maybe you should forgive for something you were just mean about. And all those things, the body holds that. It holds that, and you're able to get rid of it, but it does take awareness. But it's such an interesting awareness, because it's different than just what's around you, but about how you're responding to your past, of how you were brought up, and your current world, and the inner self, and so many. It's such a cool, I just love what I do, and I love how the body, it's so amazing. I feel like I'm a kindergartner every day, learning about what parts can work together, like the eyes twitching. It's amazing. It's our body is just going, hey, could we, hey, and then when we don't, it goes, hey.
Right. You get to choose which direction you want to have that relationship, right?
Oh, so awesome. How would you describe a happy family?
This is such a good question. A happy family to me is something I've come into creating on my own in my life. And while I've had different family members in my origin, there was trauma and challenge in my family of origin. And for me, what a happy family is today is it is a group of people who love each other like kin, and we encourage each other to be the fullest, unique parts of ourselves, that we really aim to see each other, the fullness of each person, to love the fullness of each other, to embrace the differences between us as well as the similarities, and to encourage to be that village, to encourage one another, to pursue our dreams, to live in alignment with ourselves. And that way we can be happy and healthy and have people that are ride or die, like no matter what happens with those decisions, whether we publicly look good or bad, that your family, that happy family, is the one that's going to embrace you with open arms, even if you're doing something unpopular, and is going to say, you're always welcome here. There's always a home here for you.
Yes, I love that, Stephanie. I am very much in alignment with that. And I hope with our work, your work and my work, is to continue to open the family question and love to all and to be inclusive, and that, your family doesn't have to be blood. And my family definitely isn't. It is too, but there's a lot of members that are just people that we met along our road, our journey, and I definitely consider them family members. And it's just, I love family, and I love including people. And I remember what it's like not to be included, from now on, as a kid, learning that, like, hey, if someone doesn't look included, come on, let's go. Yeah. And come eat with us. Lisa Johnson, I love her little group that says, her membership is called You Can Sit With Us.
That's beautiful. I love that.
Membership. Yeah, she's great against bullying. And I just, shout out to Lisa. She's awesome. But that just reminded me of her little You Can Sit With Us is something that really resonates with me and my family story. Well, thank you for that family story. Well, Stephanie, thanks so much again for an incredible talk. This has been so much fun. I always have so much fun. I just get so energized and it's so exciting. And I just wanted to see if you have any last words, or if you have anything for our audience that you'd like to tell them today to end our podcast.
Yeah. So if this idea of rediscovering what part of your body is meant to be the CEO of your business, is meant to be the captain of your team.
Love that.
I would love to do an individualized human design reading for you. And so since you're a special part of Ruth's group, yes, we are going to have a discounted reading that you can sign up for in the show notes. And then we can help you see what part of your body can you bring onto the team and make those decisions. And what are those unconscious gifts that you can bring to the table, that you can start to double down on in your business or double down on in your work, and also to consider a way to infuse into your brand and your business more over time.
That is very generous. Thank you very much, Stephanie. Awesome. Okay, so I'll have that link down in the show notes, everybody. If you can't find it, or if it doesn't work, please text me or email me, or you can email Stephanie. What is your email address, Stephanie?
Stephanie@stephaniezong.com.
Excellent. That will be in the show notes as well. Thanks so much. And would it be okay if I asked you to come and to do another session with us? Would you come and do another podcast?
Oh, of course. I will always come back and have these conversations are so stimulating. And I just appreciate being a part of a tribe that really wants to harness that power and the healing and the knowledge and the wisdom of the body. It's something that I'm fairly new to. And I've been so grateful, Ruth, for what you've opened up to me in terms of the wisdom. And I would love, love, love to come back.
Awesome. Okay. Excellent. Thank you. And I will see you next time. Thanks again. Bye-bye. Thanks for joining us today for this interview with Stephanie Zhong. All of her information is in the show notes, and if you need to get a hold of her, you can email her at stephanie@stephaniezhong.com, and you can always email me with any questions at ruth@ruthcummings.com. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Your Body Advocate with Ruth Cummings. We're so glad you've joined us today and truly believe you can live a pain-free, passion-filled life. To connect with Ruth, work with Ruth, or to grab your free ebook, go to ruthcummings.com. We'd love to hear from you. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe so you don't miss our next episode. Until next time, friends, be open, include the unincluded, think outside the box, and spread love and kindness one smile at a time.